Today we're going to be talking about endings, what we do when we add suffixes to our words. How does that change the spelling and sometimes meaning of the words? So we're going to start with plurals to begin with. All right. We have all these words written up here. So when we plural, right, that means more than one. So when we want to do a plural, I'm going to come down here. We normally write, we add s to signify that this is more than one, okay? But if you're looking at these words and you know correct spelling, I don't just add the letter S to all of these words. Okay, if you're going to notice there's a wide variety of rules present here. So sometimes there's also ES, and there's also IES. So we're going to go through each, and we're going to see if we can figure out the rules here. So which words up here do I just add regular S? So we have dogs, okay, keys, right, turkeys, right, houses, chairs. So if you noticed that, all right, so we just added plain old S here. Now we can think about Y for a second, right? But before we do that, let's go to ES. So which one do I add ES to? We have boxes, peaches, kisses. So what do those words that we added just plain old ES end in? So we're going to come back to that in a second. Now let's look at our three remaining: puppy, baby, and cherry. Now they all end in Y, but so did turkey and key. So why did I only add an S to turkey and key? And I'm going to get ready to do something different with puppy, baby, and cherry. If you look at the Y, what is right before the Y in all three of those words? If you notice, is a consonant. And that is your rule right there. All right? So to make puppy, which is what we call the base word, I should have, all right? The base word is the original word. So the word dog, that is the base word of the word dogs. The dog is the original word. Fox is the base word of foxes, because fox is the original word. Okay, so going back, we have puppy. So we know because it ends in a Y, puppy, and a long E sound, and there's a consonant right before that Y, I drop that Y, I change it to I, and I add ES. Okay, going down to baby. It ends in a Y, and there's a consonant immediately before it, so I drop that Y, change it to I, and add ES. Right? And then look at cherry. There's a Y, there is a consonant immediately before it. I'm going to drop that Y, sorry about that, change that to I, and add ES. Okay? So students need to understand that you're dropping the Y and changing it to I. Okay, that's very important. So let's go back up here really quick. Why did we not do this for turkey and keys? Because there is a vowel right before it. So if you look at the letter Y, there's a vowel E right before both of these. That is why. If there is a vowel right before that Y, all you do is you just add regular S. And then with houses, chairs, and dogs, they just follow basic rules. Okay? Now let's be careful here. This is not an ES pattern. Make sure your students understand that. That is very commonly confused. All right, they think, oh, this is an ES. Nope, look at the base word. Remember, go back to the base word. The base word here actually ended with an E. So all you do is you add an S. And if you look at the three here, none of those ended, their base word does not end with an E. You added the ES. All right, let's go to ES here. All right, so ES follows a great rule. All right, so if a word ever ends in, as you can see, X, CH, S, and there's two more, SH, and Z, you always add ES. All right, and I made a sign with those, and I stuck that up on my wall in my classroom so students were always able to refer to it. And they literally would memorize it. I would ask them, hey, when do we add ES to a word? And they would go, oh, when it ends in SH, S, CH, X, and Z. So keep that in mind. All right, and then the Z and X. So box, boxes, okay, peaches, all right, wishes, all right, WISHES. So those are the rules for plural, right? And it's very important that students understand all those rules. Now we're going to go back to base words again. So again, remember the base word is the original word before you added anything to the end of it. Any suffix, you changed the meaning. So example, the word jump. Okay, that's the base word. Now, we already talked about plurals. Today we're going to talk about ing, ed, er, est. Okay. So jump, if I want to make a jump in, all I do is I just add the ing. Okay. I didn't change anything to the word jump. The only thing that changed was its meaning. When I added the ing, it said I'm jumping, I'm doing it right now. Well, I can get rid of that. If I wanted to add ed, I jumped. I'm talking about I did it in the past. All right, so I changed the meaning, but I didn't change the spelling. Now, but, of course, there are rules. We have the word skate. All right. Hide. So let's look at those really quick. Okay. So with skate, if I want to say I am skating, I don't just add ing. Right? I drop that e. But you don't just drop, you need to be careful with that rule. It's when it's a long vowel, silent e, then you drop the e. And you add ing. Right? So hide. Right? Yes, ends in silent e, but it's a long vowel I, hide, silent e, then you drop the e, and you add ing. So what is the base word? The base word is skate. What's the base word? Not hid, hide. So be careful. All right? So skating, hiding. Okay. The same thing with ed. Okay, we have the word bake. Now we need to be careful with this because some students will go, oh, I added ed. Okay. Yes, I understand when you write the letter, you're just writing the D, but you have to help the kids understand that you dropped that E because it was a silent E, this was a long A, and you added ED. You really have to help them understand that because it changes the meaning. This means I've done it in the past. If they don't do that, all right, they might think we've done this. So I'm trying to multi. And obviously that fails the does it look funny test. That looks weird. Right? So they need to understand that you dropped that E and you added ED. Right? So keep that in mind. So words that end in silent E, when you want to make it past tense, you really got to make the students understand you dropped the E and then you added ED. Because ED come together. Right? They're not separate. So, right, and a lot of these rules also apply if you wanted to add ER and EST. Okay? So let's look at the following word. Right? Hop and hope, which is very easily confused. Okay? So if I want to say I am hoping I will do well, what do? I drop that E with short vowel and I add ing, hoping. Okay? But this says hop. Be careful here. Do I just add ing? No. It's short vowel. Has a consonant, a short vowel immediately precedes it, so you always double, and then you add the ing. So this is your doubling rule. All right? So the doubling rule is whenever you have a short vowel word, it ends in a final consonant, that short vowel is immediately before it, then you add the ing. Obviously, there are irregular words for this. So, like for instance, run. You didn't run, you ran. All right, that's like a whole nother lesson. Okay, so slide. You didn't slided, right? You sled. Okay, so these are some irregulars, so keep that in mind. Right? And all the rules that I'm teaching for these two apply here. Okay, but ER and EST change meaning. So these are what we call comparative endings. When I add these, I am comparing it. For instance, let's talk about the word fat. All right, okay. So we have the word fat. If I want to say that puppy is fatter than the other puppy, once again, short vowel word ends in a final consonant. Short vowel right before it, you're going to double that consonant, and then you're going to add ER. So keep that in mind, same rule. So the same thing to go with fattest. If I want to say that pumpkin is the fattest of all the pumpkins, I'm comparing. Right. Now, one thing that I've taught my students so they understand when to use ER and when to use EST is ER, if you notice, there's only two letters, E and R. 1, 2. That means you compare two things, because there's two. So ER compares two things. That puppy is fatter than the other puppy. There's two puppies, okay? EST, 1, 2, 3, there's three. So 3 or more things, you use EST. That puppy is the fattest of all, okay? So you use 3 or more. So once again, the same doubling rules apply, and the same dropping E rules apply as well.